Loneliness. It can feel like a cold hand gripping your heart, even in a crowded room. You see people laughing, talking, connecting, yet you feel utterly alone. The distance between you and them seems insurmountable, a chasm you can't seem to bridge. This feeling of isolation isn't about being physically alone, it's about a lack of meaningful connection, a longing for someone to truly see and understand you. It's a silent epidemic, affecting millions, and men are particularly vulnerable. Why? Because for generations men have been taught to suffer in silence, to hide their vulnerabilities behind a mask of stoicism. This societal conditioning has created a crisis, leaving men feeling isolated, unheard, and alone. It's time to break the silence. In a world that often celebrates extroversion and assertiveness, quieter, more introverted men can feel overlooked. They may struggle to have their voices heard, their needs met, their presence acknowledged. This feeling of invisibility can be incredibly isolating. Imagine a man sitting at a dinner party. He's surrounded by people, but the conversation flows around him. He tries to interject, to share his thoughts, but he's talked over, dismissed, or ignored. Multiply this experience across various social situations and you begin to understand the deep sense of invisibility that many men experience. It's a slow, insidious erosion of self-worth, a feeling that their inner lives don't matter. The statistics paint a grim picture. Men die by suicide at significantly higher rates than women. In the US, men account for nearly 80% of all suicides. This isn't just a statistic, it's a devastating reality that underscores the depth of the crisis. Why are these numbers so high? While there's no single answer, the inability to express emotional pain and seek help is a significant contributing factor. Men are often taught to suppress their emotions, to man up and deal with their problems alone. This silence is deadly. For generations, the ideal of the strong, silent type has permeated our culture. Men were expected to be stoic providers, their emotions kept tightly under wraps. This archetype, while seemingly admirable, comes at a high cost. Think of the classic cowboy movies, the Lone Ranger riding off into the sunset, his face etched with rugged determination, never betraying a hint of vulnerability. This image, while romantic, reinforces the harmful notion that men should face their struggles alone, without seeking support. This legacy of silence has real-world consequences. It prevents men from reaching out for help when they need it most, from building meaningful connections with others, from living authentically. Section 5. The provider's burden. Men are often raised with the expectation that they will be the breadwinners, the ones who provide for their families. While this is changing, the pressure to succeed financially can weigh heavily on men, leading to stress, anxiety, and a sense of isolation. Imagine a man who's lost his job. He feels ashamed, like he's failed in his role as a provider. He withdraws from his loved ones, afraid to burden them with his problems. He suffers in silence, the weight of his worries crushing him. This pressure to be the provider can prevent men from seeking help when they need it most. They may fear judgment, worry about appearing weak, or feel ashamed of their struggles. Section 6. The fear of vulnerability. One of the most significant barriers to men seeking help is the fear of appearing vulnerable. Society often equates vulnerability with weakness, especially in men. This fear can keep men trapped in a cycle of silence and isolation. To express emotional pain is to risk being judged, mocked, or dismissed. It's to expose a side of themselves that they've been told to keep hidden, so they stay silent, hoping the pain will eventually subside on its own. This fear of vulnerability is a learned behavior, ingrained over years of societal conditioning, but it's a learned behavior that can be unlearned. Section 7. Breaking free from the mold. Breaking free from these harmful stereotypes begins with acknowledging that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle, to feel vulnerable, to need help. These are not signs of weakness but of courage, the courage to be authentically yourself. It starts with small steps, talking to a trusted friend or family member, seeking professional help from a therapist or counselor, joining a support group or online forum. The key is to find a safe space where you can express yourself without judgment, where you can connect with others who understand what you're going through. Section 8. Finding your voice, finding connection. Breaking the silence is not just about seeking help, it's about finding your voice, embracing your authentic self, and building meaningful connections. It's about challenging the societal norms that limit men's emotional expression. It's about creating a world where men feel comfortable expressing their full range of emotions, where vulnerability is seen as a strength, and where seeking help is encouraged, not stigmatized. This requires a collective effort from men and women alike to challenge outdated stereotypes and create a more supportive, inclusive society for everyone. Section 9. A call to action, bridging the divide. The men's loneliness crisis is a complex issue with no easy solutions, but we can all play a part in bridging the divide. We can start by checking in on the men in our lives, listening without judgment, encouraging them to seek help when they need it, and challenging harmful stereotypes about masculinity. By creating a culture of empathy, understanding and support, we can help men feel seen, heard, and valued. We can break the silence and build a world where no one feels alone.